In the previous podcast, I defined corporate venturing. In this podcast, I'd like to highlight 4 types of investment that will help frame future conversations, and also highlight who are the winners of corporate venturing today. There are 4 types of investment that have been shown as great strategies. And this is based on a study from Henry Chesbrough, which he wrote as part of a research called Making Sense of Corporate Venture Capital, which was published by Harvard Business Review. This is a model which I very much like because it is easy to understand. So there are 4 types of key investment, and those are called driving, enabling, emerging, and passive. So imagine a 4x4 matrix where you have 2 axes from left to right, strategy to financial returns, objectives are highlighted, and then top down, how closely the capabilities which are delivered are linked with the corporate center. So visualize. I will start with the top left corner. This is where investments that are tightly linked to strategy are located. Those are called driving investment. The rationale here is that startups selected are linked extremely closely to the operation of a corporation. The VC arm works closely with the group's existing businesses to share information, qualify investment opportunities, and connect portfolio companies to its internal initiatives. The second type of investment are called enabling investments. These investments are still strategic, but they are loosely coupled to the corporation's own operations. The success of the startup is believed to, in the long term, benefit the corporate entity, but the very success of the startup is less dependent on the corporation itself. We then have emergent investments on the top left corner, on the top right corner. They tightly link the corporate entity and the startup through financial benefits, also tightly linked to the current operating model. The realization here is that changes to the business environment may cause the venture to become crucially valuable to the headquarters. It is a clear way for corporates to investigate new segments and new markets. It is often hard for big businesses to shift course due to legacy, but emergent investment enables this to happen. The last strategy is the passive investment. The passive investment is highly financially focused on the loosest of the corporate venturing strategy in terms of linkages with the corporate needs. The least connected it is to the corporate center, the better it is. Indeed, the venturing activity isn't connected to the corporation's own strategy at all, and is only loosely linked to the corporation's operational capabilities too. There is no clear path for advancing the corporation, and it's very much seen as akin to private equity. Many argue that this is a misuse of shareholder funds. Well, it depends how you look at things. So if you look at driving and enabling, if you do that at an earlier stage and then move to emergent investment, what you might find is that passive investment at later stages of the CVC model is probably the best option to drive shareholder returns. So I want to see now who is winning the corporate venturing game. In Corporate Venturing, a survival guide by Heidi Mason, Elizabeth Harrington, and James Mawson, we found some clear cases of high-performing corporate venture capital profiles across the 3 phases of corporate venturing, which is really aligned to how a startup is being funded. So during the startup phase, which is 0 to 3 years, winners at corporate venturing in the startup phase have been identified as having 3 core elements: a clear and defined vision that drives a clear charter and operating model, A strong and experienced team that combines both internal operational knowledge and external VC understanding, and established expectations and milestones to measure and ensure performance. One of the winners highlighted in the study was high performer CSAA Insurance Group. And that began because they started to try to identify major emerging risks that could seriously injure their business. They then decided to modernize their product and start digitizing as well, using corporate venturing as a mechanism to do that. So the second phase is the expansion phase, 4 to 6 years. Winners at corporate venturing in the expansion phase are seen to have a slightly different set of core components. So first, they have more agility. They have to drive agility in how they refine strategic investment or the way they focus on their portfolio. They need to tailor their approach when it comes to recruiting and retaining talent over time. And then they need to institutionalize the way they operationalize the investment and the choice they make, usually through a platform. A clear example of a high performer is well-known insurer called Munich Re or Reinsurer Munich Re. A good case study, partly they have a good case study, they have a good case study in a startup, which they acquired called Relayer. In this case study, we can see how Munich Re personalized its approach for each venture to in line with its strategic and financial objectives. The last phase is called the resiliency phase, 7 to 9 years. They have found ways to industrialize and democratize their learnings. They have been identified as having the following common characteristics too. Those are the corporate venturing program plays a strategic role and continually influence the parent company growth too. They are purpose-built, well-established, and end-to-end investment platforms in place to industrialize and democratize practice across the group. They have intelligent community management and communication capabilities to make sure that they're actually fostering and developing network and ecosystem, because this cannot work if you are not building an ecosystem alongside it. At this stage, the corporate venturing practice really understands the corporate parent and is intimately connected to its operation and success. This is also demonstrated with companies, pharmaceutical giant Merck's, and its relationship with its parents and the way they monitor their investment. So the next question I would like to try and answer is, is the golden age of corporate venturing yet to come? Innovation is creating seismic shift to our business landscape across multiple big industry, and that is being made possible through corporate venturing. Especially, we can see that despite big falls in corporate venturing in the wake of the dot-com bubble and the global financial crisis, we haven't seen that happening with COVID-19. We have seen a dip, and it's just a dip. This resilience shows that we are on the cusp of a massive continued growth. And let's not forget that some of today's biggest successes, such as WhatsApp, Uber, and Zoom, amongst others, were born of the global financial crisis. Chances are that the pandemic will give rise to even larger numbers of innovators. As mentioned, we have 850 unicorns, and many of them are coming to market every single month. 30 to 40 new unicorn are entering the market every single month today. We are radically sped up how we do everything, especially in the digital world. So we can expect huge developments to come. We believe that corporate venturing in new industry will be a key driver of this too. Thank you for your time, and looking forward to seeing you all on the next podcast. to discuss what Scouting Ventures is. If you like this podcast, subscribe now, share with your friends, and if you enjoyed it, please give it a 5-star review. Also, if you want to cover any specific subject with me, contact me on Instagram under Sabine VdL Officials or LinkedIn under Sabine VdL. Thank you.